When I died, my husband was in the midst of passion with my sister. Through the thin wall, she deliberately asked him in a coquettish tone when he would bring her into the family. He replied with contempt, "Once I'm dead, I'll marry her immediately." In my second life, he came to propose marriage again. My sister directly suggested swapping brides, pushing me toward the impoverished scholar my grandfather had arranged for her, one who died young. She sneered at me, "How dare you, the lowly offspring of a common woman, presume to climb into the Marquis' household?" I cowered, speechless. "Sister, have you ever wondered, if he truly loved you so much, why didn't he marry you in the first place?" The day I died, it rained heavily. Sister and her husband were making love in the bedroom. In the shabby room just one wall away, I lay on a cold bed. The only blanket to ward off the chill had gone moldy and rancid from the autumn dampness. It reeked like it had been soaked in a slop bucket. I couldn't even get out of bed anymore. After returning from Chuzhou, my husband broke my legs and poisoned my voice. I lay paralyzed in bed like rotten mud. Servants tend to my every need: eating, drinking, toileting, a life stripped of dignity. My husband despises me, and the servants of the Marquis' household follow suit in their cruelty. Food and drink arrive only every 2 or 3 days. Any morsel with a hint of meat is snatched by the old woman delivering meals, who takes it home for her grandson. What reaches my hands are cold leftovers, sour rice, fit only for swine. My husband knew all this. Yet he chose to turn a blind eye. He was deeply involved with my widowed elder sister. To win her favor, he naturally allowed her to trample me underfoot. Ever since I became crippled a year ago, she moved into the Marquis' residence under the pretense of caring for me. Of course, caring for me was a lie. The truth was they had become lovers, unmarried and illicit, deliberately flaunting their affair before me. My sister hated me. She was the legitimate daughter of the primary wife, beautiful and graceful, yet my grandfather had married her off to a poor scholar. Within a few years of marriage, she became a widow. For my proud and ambitious sister, this was nothing short of a profound humiliation. As for me, born to a concubine who later gained official status, I married Xinyunzhou, the esteemed Marquis of Yongcheng. From the moment I entered his household, I was a lady of the court. My husband kept his inner quarters quiet, my mother-in-law cherished and valued me, and I managed the household affairs from the start. Even as children, she vied with me for everything. When mother made me a fragrant pouch, she snatched it away. After taking it, she cut it to shreds and tossed the pieces into the chamber pot, claiming a concubine's embroidery would soil her hands. She constantly referred to me as the concubine's daughter, despising both my mother and me. She simply couldn't bear to see me living better than her. When she seduced Xinyunzhou, besides seeking remarriage, revenge against me was also part of her motive. But she never knew that none of this ever mattered to me. Just like now, as I am about to die. I closed my eyes calmly. When I awoke again, I was back to the moment my sister pushed me into the lotus pond while fighting over my sachets. I lay weakly in bed while mother sat at the edge, tears streaming down her face. Father and sister stood together. Like a hen shielding her chicks, father's arm tightly protected sister, casting only a faintly guilty glance toward me and mother. Sister held her head high with pride, her expression utterly unconcerned. "Dr. Liu, prescribe whatever herbs are needed. Money is no concern." Father instructed the physician preparing the medicine, then turned to explain to mother, "Zhangshi, Chuanji is young." It was merely a momentary lapse during play with her sister. Do not blame her. But clearly, my sister was 3 years older than me. Mother, timid as she was, still couldn't help but speak up for me. "Master, if the eldest miss fancies the sachets I embroidered, she need only ask me. Why must she seize Chuani's? The winter water is so cold, and Chuani has always been delicate and frail." The eldest miss's actions clearly. "Enough. Zhangshi, you've overstepped your bounds." Father cut mother off, his face cold. Chuani's etiquette was taught by a palace matron, how could it be wrong? Today's incident was merely an accident. No more discussion. Father declared it settled. Mother fell silent, instantly looking like a goose with its throat squeezed. Faced with her biased father, she could utter no further defense. Father had originally elevated mother, quiet, timid, and of humble nature, to wife to prevent my stepmother from dominating my sister. Though he had disdained her and kept her as his wife for years, he never once called her lady. My sister shot me a look of unshakable confidence. Father left, and mother went downstairs to prepare my medicine. My sister approached me, her voice low enough for only us to hear, her words laced with provocation. "Stop pretending, Pei. I know you've reincarnated too. But what good does that do? Look at you, still nothing but a doormat for me to trample." I remained silent. Her laughter grew triumphant, her expression wildly arrogant. "Pei, when you face me, you should just accept your fate. You're the daughter of a lowly concubine, you're not even worthy to tie my shoes. I'm the legitimate daughter of the primary wife, favored by heaven. If you stay quiet this lifetime, crawling at my feet like a dog, I might spare your life. So you'd best behave yourself. Don't even think about defying fate or seeking revenge. Do you hear me?" She warned me viciously. "Yes, sister. I understand," I answered meekly and timidly. She strode off, thoroughly satisfied. She was still exactly the same as before, just as foolishly arrogant and self-righteous. No sooner had I recovered than our household received a marriage proposal from Xinyunzhou. The matchmaker sang Xinyunzhou's praises to the skies. "Lord and Lady Pei, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but in my 20-plus years as a matchmaker, I've rarely seen a suitor who compares to the Marquis of Yongcheng. Across the imperial capital, he stands among the finest young men. He has the pedigree, he has the looks. He inherited his ancestral title at a young age and keeps himself pure and upright, not a single concubine in sight. A man like this is truly one in a million." Father fawned with sycophantic smiles. "Indeed, indeed. The Marquis is truly exceptional. But our Shin family is humble, and my second daughter is hardly renowned. How did she ever earn the Marquis's favor?" I scoffed coldly. Father's words were indeed the height of subtlety. I wasn't merely hardly renowned. I was practically unknown. He despised me and mother, never allowing us to socialize all these years. The capital only knew that the eldest daughter of the junior minister of the Ministry of Rights was both beautiful and talented, but few knew he had a younger daughter. Xinyunzhou had set his sights on me precisely because of this. Facing my father's question, the matchmaker covered her face and laughed. "Family background is secondary. The Marquis of Shin has long admired your noble status as a Hanlon scholar and your upright character, Sir Pei. It is for this reason he seeks to form an alliance with your esteemed household." However, upon learning the eldest daughter was already betrothed, the Marquis settled for the next best option, seeking your second daughter's hand in marriage. Having spent half his life as a lowly fifth-rank official, my father was overjoyed by the matchmaker's flattery. Just like in my past life, father was deeply moved. In the end, he joyfully sent off the matchmaker, even having the steward slip her a thick red envelope. But mother, who always placed her husband above all else, was unusually hesitant. "Husband, the Yongcheng Marquis' household is a high and illustrious family. For them to take a sudden interest in Chuani without cause, I fear their intentions may not be pure. This match should be carefully considered." Father scolded her. "Silence, you woman. What do you know? I've told you, they've set their sights on the noble integrity of the Pei family." Watching father's self-important expression, I felt nothing but contempt. Why would Xinyunzhou choose me? It was nothing more than his desire to curry favor with my father and exploit my reputation for timidity and docility. He's a useless man, that thing down below small and limp, no better than a worm. Though long past the age of coming of age, he has not a single concubine by his side, all to conceal his impotence. In my past life, after I returned home and wept to mother about this, he first used connections to secure father a promotion, silencing him. Then he took me with him on an official posting to Chuzhou. Because there was a master physician skilled in such matters. I stayed with him in Chu Prefecture for 5 years until he finally cured his ailment. On the journey back to the capital, we encountered bandits. That bastard, to save his own skin, willingly offered me up to them. Later, though we were rescued by a passing merchant caravan, he still deemed me defiled. My sister's arrival interrupted my thoughts. "Father, don't let their nonsense fool you. Mrs. Zhang is just trying to team up with second sister to play the victim and squeeze more dowry out of you. Sister burst in, breathless. In my past life, father had sent me off to Chu Prefecture with Shenyunzhou, ostensibly to supplement my dowry, but in reality, he had given me a great deal of wealth. This matter had left my sister deeply resentful. Chuinji, why have you come? Look at you, drenched in sweat. Father gazed at my sister, his expression filled with concern. Pei Chuini, how dare you, the lowly offspring of a common woman, presume to climb into the Marquis' household? My sister shot me a glance before turning back to father. Father, since Lady Zhang is unwilling to let second sister marry, I shall take her place. My child, you are naturally perfect in every way. You deserve to marry into the noble Marquis' household as its mistress. Father gazed at my sister, with her exquisite beauty and grace, his face beaming with pride. Yet his voice faltered, but what about Lin Zhu? Lin Zhu was the impoverished scholar my grandfather had betrothed to my sister before his passing. When sister was 14, father had originally chosen the eldest son of the Grand Master of the Imperial Academy for her. Both families had exchanged tokens of betrothal. The young man came from a family comparable to the Peis in status. Though 3 years older than sister, he was handsome and dignified, having passed the provincial examination that year as top scholar. Sister was quite pleased with the match. Yet when grandfather learned of it, he flew into a terrible rage. He ordered father to annul the engagement and instead betrothed sister to Lin Zhu. It was said this match had been divined by grandfather as the noble husband destined for my sister. Shortly after the betrothal to Lin Zhu, grandfather passed away suddenly, despite having been in robust health. His death was shrouded in mystery. Many of his colleagues at the Imperial Astronomical Bureau whispered that grandfather had been punished by heaven for attempting to peer into its secrets. The year after grandfather's death, mother was formally elevated to primary wife. Sister scoffed, grandfather only said the Pei family's legitimate daughter should marry into the Lin family. Though second sister was born to a concubine, now that Aunt Zhang has been elevated, she naturally counts as a legitimate daughter too. Marrying her to Lin Zhu means our family hasn't broken our promise. My elder sister easily persuaded father. Father promptly sent someone to retrieve the betrothal documents from the Lin household, replacing Lin Zhu as the intended groom with me. 3 days later, Shenyunzhou personally arrived with matchmakers to propose marriage. Father expressed his wish to betroth his eldest daughter to him. In the flower hall, Shenyunzhou appeared distinguished in his rich brocade robes. My elder sister was dressed in her finest, her gaze toward Shenyunzhou brimming with bashful affection. Shenyunzhou gladly accepted father's proposal and betrothed himself to my sister. As a token of his sincerity, he presented her with an heirloom jade bracelet as an engagement gift. That very evening, my sister rushed over to me, eager to show off the bracelet. Second sister, when you were betrothed to the Marquis in our past life, he didn't give you a jade bracelet, did he? Clearly, the Marquis truly loves me. What do you say? I answered obediently, sister speaks wisely. She stood there, her nose in the air. Fortune smiles upon me, the Marquis and I are a match made in heaven. With me as his wise and capable wife, he'll surely sail through life smoothly, achieving everything he desires. Our bond in destiny, how could you, a lowly bastard child, ever comprehend it? Marrying you off to Lin Zhu is for your own good. Becoming a widow is better than dying of illness, don't you agree? When you do become a widow, I'll give you extra silver. I won't let you suffer. Rest assured, sister here isn't the sort to forsake sisterly affection. Thank you, sister, I replied humbly. I knew what she relied on, her claim of being blessed with good fortune was true. But she didn't know Shenyunzhou was a wolf that could never be sated. To humiliate me, sister deliberately arranged for Shenyunzhou and Lin Zhu to present their betrothal gifts on the same day. The spacious courtyard of the Pei residence was filled with the betrothal gifts brought by the 2 future sons-in-law. On my sister's side, chests overflowed with gold, silver, jewels, and antique treasures, alongside dazzling displays of brocades, silks, pastries, and deeds to houses and land. But the most eye-catching items were the 2 glossy, sleek betrothal geese. Rumor had it Shenyunzhou had personally hunted them in the outskirts. My sister gazed at Shenyunzhou with radiant joy. Standing side by side, they were a picture-perfect couple. My side, however, was far more modest. My headdress and jewelry were decades old, clearly heirlooms passed down through generations of the Lin family. My fabrics were merely cotton and coarse silk. The pastries were wrapped in crude paper, their seeping grease soaking through, obviously bought for a few coins a pound from a street vendor. My betrothal geese were replaced by 2 large domestic geese, which had left a large pile of droppings. Lin Zhu wore a faded cotton robe, hunched and shivering behind me. This stood in stark contrast to Xinyunzhou, who spoke with lofty ambition and brimming confidence. Father was so preoccupied with currying favor with Xinyunzhou that he hadn't even glanced at Lin Zhu since entering the door. Even the servants gathered around looked at Lin Zhu with disdain. After standing too long, Lin Zhu's stomach growled uncontrollably. My sister covered her mouth with a silk handkerchief and giggled. "Oh my, dear sister, just look at the young master of the Lin family, your future husband is starving. Why not take him to the back courtyard for something to eat? I hear the Lin family has even started selling off their ancestral fields," my sister chirped with a sly smile, her tone dripping with sarcasm. So gathering all these betrothal gifts for second sister must have been quite a struggle for young Master Lin, huh? You'd better treat him well once he marries into our family. Lin Zhu blushed crimson at his sister's words. "Come on, I'll take you to eat." I tugged his sleeve and said calmly. The moment we stepped out of the courtyard, Lin Zhu's tension eased. Miss Shen. Second miss. I'm so sorry for today. Lin Zhu stammered. "So you stutter when nervous, is that it?" I asked gently. He nodded, his expression downcast. I comforted him. "I've heard Han Fizi from the Warring States period and Sima Xiangru, the great scholar of the Han dynasty, were both stutterers." He murmured dejectedly, "How could I compare to them?" "How could you not? Others might not know, but I do." My grandfather, who spent most of his life at the Imperial Astronomical Bureau, possessed a keen eye for character. Had fate not intervened, Lin Zhu would have passed the imperial examinations with flying colors, rising swiftly through the ranks. He would have served as tutor to 2 emperors and grand secretary across 3 reigns, enjoying the honors bestowed upon his family for generations. Yet he could never outshine his sister, blessed with extraordinary fortune. Lin Zhu must have been famished. He devoured an entire plate of osmanthus cakes. Finally, I gave him an amulet for safety. "Lin, each person has their own path. But I believe you are destined for great things." I looked at him earnestly and urged, "You will be taking the imperial examinations next February, correct? I implore you, upon returning home, to remain secluded for the next 3 months. See no one, accept no gifts from anyone, and do not wear red clothing until the results are announced." He looked puzzled. "Please remember my words, young master. I would never harm you." I smiled and slipped the prepared 300 taels of silver into his hand. "When spring arrives and apricot blossoms fill the city, I shall await your name on the golden list, and you shall bring me home as your bride." He hesitated for a moment, bit his lip, and solemnly promised. "Since second young lady trusts me so, I shall not disappoint you. Xinyunzhou, failing the imperial examinations in your past life was your lifelong regret. This time, I shall fulfill it for you." To outshine me, her younger sister, I knew my elder sister would stop at nothing to help Xinyunzhou win the top scholar title. In the 12th lunar month, my sister married into the Marquis' household as she'd wished. A procession of red adornments stretched for 10 li, a breathtakingly splendid wedding that drew all eyes. Unlike my previous life, where I entered that household only to guard an empty chamber, during the 3-day post-wedding visit to her parents' home, my sister radiated the blissful grace of a newlywed. Xinyunzhou accompanied her, husband and wife in perfect harmony, sweet and devoted. Using the power of her fortune, my sister cured Xinyunzhou's impotence. Though her makeup was heavy, I still caught sight of the new fine lines forming at the corners of her eyes. But my sister was not yet 20. It was true that fortune favored her, but that fortune only protected her. If she forced her fortune to alter another's destiny, she would pay the price of depletion, these new wrinkles being one such cost. Of course, she would never know this. Father inquired about Xinyunzhou's imperial examinations. The most esteemed in the realm are those who pass the Jinshu examination. Therefore, my son-in-law will naturally participate in the examinations this August. Yunzhou spoke with confidence, casting another tender glance at his sister. With my grandmother and mother still alive, the title of Marquis's lady won't fall to Chuanji just yet. But since Chuanji has married me, I'll certainly earn her a phoenix crown and imperial robes. I think the title of first scholar's wife suits her perfectly. Sister smiled sweetly. Father, you see, the Marquis treats me most kindly. Then she glanced at me. What do you think, second sister? My smile was strained. Sister and brother-in-law are truly a match made in heaven. Good to know you understand. Sister lifted her head proudly. In this world, everything hinges on matching social standing. Noble families naturally favor legitimate daughters. As for you, second sister, though you bear the blood of a secondary wife, you remain the daughter of a concubine, born of a lowly woman. You're far better suited to that poor scholar Lin Zhu. Rest assured, little sister. I'm not one to disregard sisterly bonds. Once your brother-in-law becomes the top scholar, I'll have him give your future husband a helping hand. With his successful candidate status, even a minor official post would be well-deserved. Her smile softened as she turned to Yunzhou. Husband, what do you think? Whatever you say, my dearest Chuanji is ever so kind-hearted. Yunzhou's voice was filled with affection. Their words were practically a blatant curse, wishing Lin Zhu failure in the exams. In her previous life, Lin Zhu had been returning from dinner during the Lantern Festival the following month. Wearing a red outfit, he was gored by a mad bull, leaving him crippled and unable to take the exams. He eventually succumbed to depression and died. Her sister's words were cruel, yet undeniably true. But mother didn't know. Hearing this, she retorted bitterly. The imperial examinations haven't even begun. Talented scholars abound across the land. Who will become top scholar remains uncertain. I hear your husband's Jurin title was only recently obtained through the supervising scholar route. Perhaps the eldest daughter shouldn't be so confident just yet. You, a concubine elevated to wife, what do you know? My sister shot mother a dismissive glance, her expression saying she wouldn't stoop to arguing with her. I say my husband will become the top scholar, and he will become the top scholar. Meanwhile, Lin Zhu followed my instructions, secluding himself and refusing all visitors. Thus, on the Lantern Festival that year, he avoided having his leg gored by a mad bull. The day after the festival, my elder sister returned from her in-laws' home. Hearing of this, she came especially to see me. When she arrived, I was embroidering the wedding gown I would wear in April. Sister, you're embroidering your wedding gown? How can you use such ordinary silk? Isn't this the same silk father gave to mother when she was elevated to primary wife? She dramatically covered her mouth, then exclaimed with sudden realization, my fault. I completely forgot. Of course, the Lin family is poor. Lin Zhu himself can only wear cotton cloth. How could they afford to buy you precious shoe brocade or silk satin? I remained silent. She sneered coldly, Pei Chuanyi, you were the one who warned Lin Zhu to avoid the mad bull, weren't you? Do you think this will make you better than me? You're dreaming. I never thought of that, sister. I just don't want to spend my life with a cripple. I shrank back, my voice weak. You wouldn't dare. She snorted haughtily. I'll let you off this time. But then again, I heard father doesn't even want to give you a maid's quarters. He says the Lin family courtyard is too small to accommodate you. Time passed without incident. In February, the examination results were announced. Lin Zhu ranked third. As my sister had predicted, Yunzhou became the top scholar, a young prodigy praised throughout the imperial capital. Rumor had it even Princess Yao Hua from the palace had taken a fancy to him, only abandoning her interest upon learning he was already married. This news filled my sister, bedridden with injury, with immense satisfaction. Yes, my sister was ill. On the very day Yunzhou entered the examination hall, my sister stumbled while descending the steps and suddenly broke her leg. Once again, she had exhausted her fortune to secure the top scholar's glory for Yunzhou. By the time of my wedding, my sister's leg had healed. She rushed back to the Pei family to attend my ceremony. Of course, her intentions were not to offer blessings. Before me, she incessantly spoke ill of Lin Zhu. First, she pointed out how few people came from the Lin family to fetch the bride, proving their household was truly in decline, sparse and weak, nothing like the thriving branches of the Marquis estate. She claimed I'd have no support once married there. Then she criticized Lin Zhu, saying that even after achieving the third-place honor in the imperial exams, he remained so stingy and petty, utterly unpresentable. She insisted he couldn't compare to the Yongchang Marquis' distinguished bearing. Fed up with her nagging, I lifted my veil and provoked her with irritation. "Sister, you should mind your own affairs. I hear Princess Yaohua is furious about not marrying your brother-in-law and wants the Minister of Personnel to exile him to the northwest." Princess Yaohua was the youngest daughter of Consort Ji, the most favored lady in the harem. Her brother, Prince Qi, was the leading contender for crown prince, and her uncle held the powerful post of Minister of Personnel. My sister's eyes widened. "Who told you that?" I didn't repeat the name. "Lin Zhu must have told you, right?" "Makes sense, men always hear about these court affairs first." My sister spoke to herself, yet her tone turned triumphant. "So what if she's a princess? My husband married me, I am his one and only wife. As for that exile? With me here, they won't succeed." I pressed her further. "Sister, you shouldn't speak so definitively. What could you, a mere young wife, possibly understand?" She sneered contemptuously. "I'm not like you. When I say I can do something, I will do it." Yes, she always got her way. As long as she was willing to overdraw her fortune. But sister, everything has its limits. Even with fortune on your side, how much overdrawing can you endure? 3 days after the wedding, Lin Zhu accompanied me on my return visit to my parents' home. Compared to his warmth toward Shen Yunzhou and my sister, father's attitude toward us was cool and distant. Just before dinner, Shen Yunzhou and my sister arrived. Shen Yunzhou said he needed to discuss something with father, so father left for the study without eating. The meal was unbearably awkward. My sister took turns mocking Lin Zhu and me at the table. She claimed father disliked me, his youngest daughter, and that Lin Zhu couldn't hold a candle to the eldest son-in-law in father's eyes. Her words were sharp and cutting. I knew she was doing this deliberately, just to humiliate me. But we endured it. After returning home, I said to Lin Zhu, "Today's events, I'm afraid I've brought trouble upon you. Chuani, we are husband and wife. How can there be trouble?" Lin Zhu took my hand, his voice calm and steady. "Now that I hold an official position, our life will only grow better. Though I may not match the noble birth of the Marquis of Yongchang, Chuani, I will work diligently and strive forward. I will never let your sister hold you back for the rest of your life." His voice was firm. On the eve of the Dragon Boat Festival, the imperial appointments were announced. As expected, Lin Zhu was assigned to the Hanlin Academy as a compiler. Shen Yunzhou, too, avoided being sent to the northwest and, following convention, became a senior compiler in the Hanlin Academy. Meanwhile, Princess Yaohua suffered a cat scratch on her face, and the Minister of Personnel was reprimanded by the Emperor for belching in court. That very night of the appointments, my sister developed a high fever. Her fever raged for nearly half a month. The Marquis' household summoned every physician imaginable, yet nothing helped. Shen Yunzhou, however, stayed by her bedside without changing his clothes after work, even tasting her medicine personally, it was said. The reputation of the Yongchang Marquis and his wife's deep affection soon spread throughout the streets and alleys. When Lin Zhu mentioned this to me, he sighed, "Chuani, I never heard your sister had a weak constitution before. Why is she constantly stricken with illness since her marriage? It's either broken legs or high fevers." My reply sidestepped his question. Perhaps she desired too much. Heaven bestowed blessings upon my sister to guide her toward virtuous deeds and good karma. Yet she chose to use them for harming others and satisfying her own selfish desires. Naturally, it would backfire. My sister believed that by using her blessings to aid Shen Yunzhou, he would be grateful. But in truth, Shen Yunzhou was an insatiable wolf whose appetite only grew larger. His affection for my sister was merely a means to make her indulge his every whim. His greed and her selfishness never changed. I also told Lin Zhu to keep an eye on the brown-robed elder who came to borrow books from the Hanlin Academy over the next month. No matter what he said or did, he must serve him with utmost humility. Lin Zhu didn't understand why, but he was already accustomed to obeying my sudden instructions. One day when he returned home, he couldn't hide his joy. "Chuani, your words brought me luck." That brown-robed elder turned out to be His Majesty's own brother, Prince Zhao. He recommended me to lecture the Emperor on scriptures. My colleagues at the Hanlin Academy are all green with envy. Truthfully, this was an opportunity destined for Lin Zhu all along. I teased, "Does Xinyunzhou feel the same?" He teased back, "Of course." His eyes were practically glowing red like a rabbit's. The more jealous Xinyunzhou grew, the more he would go back to his sister demanding more. Lin Zhu went to lecture the Emperor, but during the session, the Emperor suddenly thought of Xinyunzhou. Then the Emperor summoned him, and then the Emperor had him lecture. Xinyunzhou delivered brilliantly, and the Emperor listened with great satisfaction. The Emperor promoted Xinyunzhou one rank, appointing him as Hanlin Assistant Minister. This was a position truly close to the Emperor. Compared to Xinyunzhou's glory, Lin Zhu seemed rather forlorn. Though he had seized the initiative first, he ended up empty-handed. For a time, Lin Zhu endured the mockery of his colleagues. I had expected him to be gloomy, but unexpectedly, he took it quite well. As the ancients say, after adversity comes fortune. "Perhaps my luck was simply off today," he quipped. "What's the big deal? The imperial court is a sea of ups and downs. There's plenty of time ahead." Seeing his magnanimous demeanor, I understood. How could I tell him that this opportunity had truly been his, only to be snatched away by my sister for Xinyunzhou? My scheming and manipulation were also involved. But he truly lived up to grandfather's expectations. With such character, no wonder he later rose through the ranks with ease. Mother came to see me and mentioned that my sister had returned to her parents' home again because of Xinyunzhou's promotion. "Your sister was strutting around like she owned the place. Your father, trying to curry favor with his son-in-law, didn't even care about his dignity anymore. Serving wine, dishing out food, fawning and flattering, saying the most disgusting things." Mother's sharp sarcasm cut deep. Anyone unaware would think Xinyunzhou was his father-in-law. I spoke up, "And how is sister?" Strange as it may seem, when she came back this time, she looked like she'd aged 10 years. Her complexion was dreadful. Mother sighed. When I asked her, she stubbornly insisted it was from not resting properly after that high fever. Mother comforted me again. "Chuani, don't lose heart. I think Lin Zhu is a good man, truly devoted to you. It's your brother-in-law who's the problem. He may seem gentle and considerate toward your sister, but at that dinner table, his eyes kept darting toward that pretty dowry maid beside her. Your sister remains oblivious, unaware that once a man harbors other intentions, he can't be contained. Her difficult days are yet to come. The Yongchang Marquis family is vast and powerful. All her half-brothers from lesser wives have sons and daughters, yet the Marquis himself has no heir. I hear she's been pressured daily by both mothers-in-law to bear an heir. Listening to Mother's tale, I found it more fascinating than any storybook. My sister was already beginning to taste the bitter fruit I had prepared for her. In my previous life, when I married into the Shin family, Xinyunzhou's mother and grandmother were fully aware of his condition. The Shin family knew they were in the wrong, so to appease me, they let me manage the household from the moment I entered. His mother even relinquished her title as Marquise in advance. As for pressuring him to have children, that was never even a topic. This lifetime, my sister altered Xinyunzhou's constitution early on, granting him robust health. That's why he had the chance to take the imperial examinations, and his ambitions grew step by step. His mother and grandmother, knowing his health was restored, naturally grew bold and unrestrained. These 2 generations of Marquis's wives? They weren't pushovers. Their defining trait was their exacting standards. Otherwise, in the previous life, they wouldn't have allowed Xinyunzhou to remain unmarried well past marriageable age until they found me, a timid girl from a scholarly family, born of the legitimate line. In their eyes, Xinyunzhou, strong, healthy, and with a promising future, was worthy of princesses and noble ladies. My sister scolded me as a lowly commoner's daughter, yet to the Shin family, a prestigious and powerful clan, I was no different from her. We were both merely daughters of a minor 5th-rank official. My sister sought to surpass me in everything, yet the hardships she faced far outweighed mine. Xinyunzhou bewitched her with his love, yet she remained blind to it. "Mother, when my sister returns home next time, tell her I'm pregnant." I smiled gently and kindly. "Mother, you must tell my sister I'm carrying a son." Mother didn't understand, but she nodded nonetheless. If sister wanted to outshine me, she'd have to exhaust her fortune to conceive. With her love for the limelight, she'd surely aim for twins, a boy and a girl. This time, she'd pay a heavier price. 10 months later, my child vanished suddenly after drinking a bowl of lotus seed soup. I had anticipated this outcome. How could sister ever allow me to steal her thunder? Even if it meant inflicting 1,000 wounds on me while only inflicting 800 on herself, she would still strive to outshine me. While I was recuperating, news spread that my sister was pregnant and rumored to be carrying twins. Overnight, the capital buzzed with talk of how splendid a wife the Marquis of Yongchang had married, a woman who brought prosperity to her husband and family, blessed with boundless fortune. The Shin family lavishly distributed money and offered free porridge. When people came to congratulate my sister, she would constantly belittle me. Rumors soon spread about my ill fortune and lack of blessings. They say the higher you climb, the harder you fall. With the Yongchang Marquis and his wife being so ostentatious now, their fortune is bound to decline after reaching its peak. "So, Chuani, you really shouldn't pay attention to those rumors outside," Linjua comforted me. In my heart, "Chuani, you are the best." I looked at the precocious Linjua, my heart filled with mixed emotions. The family's decline, the loss of both parents, the Yu family's contempt, the broken betrothal. Each of these blows could have crushed a person. He should have been on the path to recovery. But my sister destroyed it all. It doesn't matter. Once the dust settles, I'll give him back everything. Lin Zhu hesitated. "There's something else. I'm not sure if I should tell you." I remained calm. "What is it?" "The Marquis of Yongchang says your sister cares deeply about you and wishes to see you." Lin Zhu hesitated. "But your sister. She might not have good intentions." "She's just trying to show off," I said nonchalantly. "Just tell him she's welcome." 3 days later, my sister arrived in grand fashion, laden with bags and parcels. Her words were filled with concern, but her gaze was pure showmanship. She deliberately thrust out her slightly rounded belly, telling me how well-behaved her unborn child was, never causing her any trouble, how much her mother-in-law and grandmother-in-law cherished the baby, and how tender and considerate Shinyanzhou was toward her. "Second sister, see? You've resigned yourself to your fate after all," she declared triumphantly. "You're destined to crawl at my feet, just as you did in our past life, and just as you will in this one. You'll always lose to me. So what if you helped Lin Zhu evade the mad bull? So what if you conceived before me? It's merely a fleeting advantage. Only I am the eternal victor, an existence you can forever yearn for but never attain. A child of a lowly wife, even if labeled legitimate, can never be compared to a true eldest daughter." My sister delivered her grand pronouncements with sweeping flourish. "Is that so? Then Chuani wishes you this, may you forever bask in such triumph." I gazed at her, my voice calm. Sister wore heavy, thick makeup, her hair tightly wrapped in an ornate headscarf, radiating an air of regal splendor. But I knew, behind the layers of cosmetics lay a face hastily aged, beneath the scarf, hair prematurely streaked with silver. She was too greedy, too impatient for success. The fortune that could have shielded her in prosperity and glory for a lifetime had been exhausted in mere years. Exhaustion, a broken leg, premature aging, white hair. All these were the price she paid for draining her fortune, and each consequence would grow more severe. "The Marquis loves me, and I love him," sister declared, lifting her chin haughtily. "Naturally, my path will always be smooth sailing, 1,000 times better than yours." "Is that so? Sister, does the Marquis still spend every night in your chambers?" I asked her. My words caught her off guard. "Of course the Marquis loves me. Even if he doesn't sleep in my bed, he still loves me." She shrieked, her voice rising to a shrill scream. "When mother and grandmother assigned him maids to attend him, he refused them all. He swore it, he loves only me." "You vile woman. Stop your nonsense. You're trying to drive a wedge between us." She fled in haste. Watching her retreating figure, I sneered coldly. Having married Shinyanzhou so many times, how could I not know his nature? He rejected the women in the mansion because he looked down on them. Right now, he's passionately involved with his pampered mistress outside. That mistress, the daughter of a scholar he secretly kept after deeming me impure in my previous life. This lifetime, I sent her to him ahead of time. After the Mid-Autumn Festival in the 8th lunar month, the mistress, swollen with child, knelt before the gates of the Yongchang Marquis' residence, begging my sister for shelter. My sister, nearing her due date, was so enraged by this that she went into premature labor and suffered severe hemorrhaging. She survived, but was left paralyzed from the waist down. Her appearance, a woman in her 20s looking like one in her 40s, her face etched with wrinkles and streaked with premature gray, soon became common knowledge. After my sister lost her beauty, Shen Yunzhou not only did not cast her aside but grew even more devoted to her. He even had the pregnant concubine killed for her sake. Everyone said Shen Yunzhou was deeply devoted to my sister. When the twins celebrated their first month, I attended the banquet at the Shen residence and saw my sister again. She appeared even more aged and frail than I had imagined. The once delicate and charming features had faded into a withered, aged face. My sister proudly flaunted her achievements before me. "Second sister, I hear you came alone today? Your husband didn't accompany you?" "Ah, well, you and I married just months apart. Now I have both a son and a daughter, while you have no children at all. If I were a man, I wouldn't be happy either." Watching my sister willingly lose herself in the beautiful dreams woven by Shen Yunzhou, my heart remained unmoved. The old emperor was gravely ill, and Shen Yunzhou had been cozying up to the Prince of Qi lately. He pampered my sister solely to extract more information from her, hoping to secure his place as the prince's right-hand man. I asked, "How have you been lately, sister?" "Naturally, I'm well," sister replied, her face beaming with pride. "Second sister, you have no idea how much the Marquis adores my child. He was supposed to be home today, but with his recent promotion, official duties keep him occupied. It can't be helped. After all, I'm far more blessed than you. Think back, when you married the Marquis, you couldn't bear a single child for 6 years. So, second sister, your divorce in your past life wasn't sister's fault at all, it was all because your womb wouldn't cooperate. I hear your brother-in-law is still stuck in the same rut. Let me tell you, second sister, if you knelt down and begged me now, it wouldn't be too late. Once the Marquis reaches the pinnacle of power, I'll have him find an opportunity to promote your brother-in-law. Sister, I'm not one to disregard sisterly affection. Sister, you should focus on taking care of yourself." I smiled faintly. Sister continued her boastful display, yet through her aged features, I could clearly see the halo of fortune surrounding her had dimmed to near extinction. Her fortune had been utterly depleted. Alas, she remained unaware. That evening, Lin Zhu returned from duty and shared another intriguing matter with me. Today, Princess Yao Hua actually came to the Hanlin Academy looking for Shen Yunzhou. He even took leave to take her out boating. Their behavior was quite intimate, their relationship is likely far from ordinary. Lin Zhu sighed, this Marquis Shen. His ambitions are enormous. Princess Yao Hua had never married since her disfigurement. Now that Shen Yunzhou is in favor with Prince Qi, he's eager to deepen their alliance. Lin Zhu voiced his concern. Prince Qi may seem powerful and popular, but he's neither the legitimate heir nor the eldest son. His narrow-mindedness makes him unfit to rule. I hear even your father-in-law has been co-opted, entangled with Prince Qi. Chuani, should you mention this to your mother-in-law? It matters not, I shook my head. Though my mother has held the title of legitimate wife these years, her name was never recorded in the Pei family genealogy. She remains, at her core, a concubine. Otherwise, why do you think Pei Chunzi always called me the daughter of a mistress? Lin Zhu's assessment was correct. In my previous life, on the very night the emperor passed away, Prince Qi seized the throne through a palace coup. But a month later, he was overthrown and executed by the eldest imperial son, who had returned from commanding the border defenses. Of course, my sister didn't know this. In my previous life, after Prince Qi ascended the throne, he elevated Shen Yunzhou to the rank of duke. My sister hadn't even settled into her position as duchess before Princess Yao Hua had her killed, because the princess intended to marry Shen Yunzhou herself. Shen Yunzhou was a man of insatiable ambition. He could abandon me for his legitimate sister, just as he could abandon his sister for the more exalted Princess Yao Hua. As the emperor's illness grew critical, a storm brewed over the capital. While the princes in the city schemed and plotted, Prince Qi took the opposite course, entering the palace to tend to the emperor. He never removed his clothes, personally tasted the emperor's medicine, and performed every act of filial piety. In no time, the Prince of Qi's reputation for benevolence and devotion spread throughout the palace and beyond. In his previous life, he ascended to power under the infamous label of a rebel. This time, Shen Yunzhou learned the timing of the emperor's demise through his sister, naturally aiding the Prince of Qi's legitimate claim to the throne. This would only deepen the Prince of Qi's favor toward him. However, even earlier, I had sent an anonymous letter to the eldest prince, the Prince of Zhou, who was stationed at the frontier. Prince Qi's plan proceeded smoothly. Before long, the emperor, moved by Prince Qi's apparent piety, summoned several senior ministers despite his illness and formally designated Prince Qi as crown prince. That night, the Yongcheng Marquis' residence was ablaze with light, doctors coming and going incessantly. Word spread that my sister had coughed up blood and fallen into a deep coma. Late into the night after my sister's collapse, the emperor passed away. I urged the household servants to hastily replace the decorations with white banners, mourning attire, and white lanterns, while also stationing guards at all entrances. In the dead of night, the imperial capital echoed with the clamor of battle. First, several princes who had competed with Prince Qi launched a palace coup. Then, as dawn approached, the eldest prince returned with his troops, sweeping through the palace like a whirlwind. It wasn't until the following afternoon that the chaos was barely quelled. Lin Zhu went out to gather news and returned to tell me that Prince Qi had been killed. The other adult princes who participated in the palace coup were also executed by the eldest prince. Princess Yao Hua and consort Ji Shu were forced to commit suicide, and the followers of Prince Qi were imprisoned. Among them were the Pei family and the Yongcheng Marquis' household. For the next fortnight, wails of grief echoed ceaselessly through the imperial capital. Families were confiscated, heads were chopped off. The new emperor was decisive and swift. Having spent years in the military, he particularly despised the court officials who fawned on the powerful and formed factions for personal gain. Thus, heads rolled in droves for a time. Lin Zhu, with his dignified and unyielding demeanor, earned the new emperor's favor. He was directly transferred from the Hanlin Academy to the Ministry of Personnel, also serving as an attendant before the imperial throne. His predestined path to high office finally began to ascend. I retrieved mother from prison, armed with the Pei family genealogy and her early indenture contract. Father begged me to rescue him, but I ignored him. He cursed me relentlessly, calling me heartless and ungrateful. The night before the Shen family's exile, I visited sister in prison. Likely because of rumors about her supernatural abilities, she wasn't held with the others but kept alone in a separate cell. As for Shen Yunzhou, he was executed the very night of the palace coup. Upon the death of Prince Qi, Shen Yunzhou immediately prostrated himself before the crown prince, showering him with flattery and pledging absolute loyalty. To prove his worth, he claimed his wife possessed divine fortune, capable of foretelling the future. The crown prince already despised Shen Yunzhou's opportunism. Then, other factions loyal to the late Prince Qi, desperate to save their own skins, rushed to expose Shen Yunzhou's deceit. They revealed his wife had been in a coma for days, her life hanging by a thread, and that Shen Yunzhou had been deceiving the crown prince all along. Without hesitation, the crown prince struck off Shen Yunzhou's head with a single sword stroke. He then ordered his corpse thrown into the mass grave to be devoured by wild dogs. My sister lay on the cold earthen bed, her exhalations outnumbering her inhalations, her face drained of color. I approached her side, took her hand, and slowly infused a thread of life into her body. She gradually opened her eyes, staring at me in disbelief. I recounted everything that had transpired recently. No, impossible. How could this be? Her eyes widened, her breath faint and thread-like. It clearly said I was the protagonist of this world. The center of this universe. Blessed with fortune, able to make my wishes come true. Sister, is this what you meant by it? My hand became transparent, slowly passing through her body. From her mind, I pulled out a long-dead koi fish. Her eyes widened in horror, and she screamed. You're not Pei Chuanyi. Who are you? I am Peichuani, yet I am not. The first time my sister killed me, I remembered my true identity. I was a wretched transmigrator, a fetal transmigrator, the kind with no memories. My death was utterly unjust. I must be the most miserable transmigrator ever, no contest. Perhaps the heavens heard my complaints, for I encountered a system. It claimed to be a quick transmigration system, promising to aid my revenge. But after vengeance, I'd have to sell my soul, becoming its bound agent to complete its tasks. It claimed to hail from an unnameable dimension, sent to help various female supporting characters fulfill their wishes. It said agents were like exiled travelers, shuttling between different worlds, neither living nor dead, never resting. I agreed to its terms. The system told me, sister is this world's female lead, blessed with a koi-like luck and an aura of fortune. According to the trope of the spoiled, arrogant young miss paired with the gentle, scholarly gentleman, she was meant to marry the eldest son of the Imperial Academy's chancellor. They would live in harmony, bound by deep affection, enjoying a life of peace and prosperity. Yet, driven by her grandfather's greed, her destiny was altered. Driven by her own greed, Lin Zhu's destiny was altered. My sister thought I was reborn, but I wasn't. I am reincarnation. I have been reborn 100 times. Through endless scheming against my sister, I gradually eroded her protagonist's aura. She still mutters resentfully, I am this world's heroine. Fortune favors me. Admit it. You've already lost. My voice was gentle. What makes someone like you worthy of being the heroine? Your greed? Your selfishness? Your arrogance? Or your insatiable hunger? Sister, you've lost. There won't be a next time. Her last flicker of life was spent, and sister closed her eyes forever in bitter resignation. I stepped out of the cell. The street was bathed in bright sunlight, the weather clear and warm. The system's voice echoed in my mind. Your objective is complete. Are you ready to begin the next mission with me? Yes, I agreed, though a faint sense of melancholy lingered in my heart. The system said, rest assured, I'll cover your death. I'll erase all traces of you from Lin Zhu's mind. He'll soon forget you. He never truly belonged to you. His destined true love awaits ahead. If that's the case, let's go, I said. The road ahead stretches long and bright. That's all there is to it. The end.